How's it going, guys? How are y'all? What's the story? Keeping well? Hope you're all enjoying your day today and that's all going good. It's been a sunny day here in Portlaoise in the Midlands of Ireland, and thank God for that because it's been
sunny.
Yeah, we got out and we got a bit of air earlier on, didn't we, Colin?
We did. We got out stroll and we've refilled our little snack plate. Anya whizzed over to the shop and we have whispers and snacks and the whole lot.
Very posh.
So
That's not like us. Far from
it's far from the penguins. The penguins.
far from teapots and that I was raised anyway. So we are going to now crack on with our next workshop, which I'm really, really super excited about now. We have the amazing John Joe Kelly's going to hop in here now and wow yous.
Yeah. And just a few little things. I suppose one is that there's a great interview that's and write up about John Joe that's coming out in a magazine called The Living Tradition, to check that out as well. A good pal of ours, Lawrence Doherty from Liverpool, has done a bit of work there and put an interview together. I think I'm quoted in it, so hopefully John Joe said all nice things. I'm only joking, of course he did. John Joe, as everyone knows, anyone in the Boron world at any stage knows who John Joe Kelly is. He's a man that doesn't need any introduction. I remember being a young teeny bopper around 14 or 15, and at the time I was just getting into the Boron, and someone said to me, I need to go check out Fluke and John Joe Kelly playing. I went to a gig of his in Limerick, and like everyone who sees John Joe for the first time, and nearly every time,
Nearly fainted.
my jaw was on the ground. And I remember my mum and dad went up and asked John Joe to say hello to me, and he came over to say hello, and he was all chat, but I couldn't talk back to him. I was just
I think we all had those moments.
But he's an absolute groove machine. He's the master of the Boron, and always seems to do the perfect thing in every situation. And he's on nearly every recording that you've ever listened to with a Boron on it. He's just the man to go to. And his new encore album with Fluke is another gem as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You should check that out if you get a chance. Have a look at the Fluke website. Encore, a beautiful album, really, really nice production, and just great sounds. Cool. So without further ado, let's jump in, because I know you don't want to hear any more of us. You just want to get back into the
exactly.
We'll get out your way.
The main man himself.
Yeah. Have a great one, guys. Enjoy yourselves.
How's it going, folks? It's great to be here today. It's very kind of the lads to invite me on. I got a phone call from Robbie about a couple of months ago now to say, would like to be involved for a day. So I thought this was a fantastic idea in the crazy times that we're all experiencing. And so I just want to firstly congratulate them both for putting together a brilliant week this week. Long line course. It's fantastic. Well done to them both. Not only fantastic Boron players, they're fantastic organisers as well, but I look to things so good on them, and hats off, lads. It's brilliant. You're all very welcome. I presume you've all been practising about 5 hours a day in the last few months, the way things have been, unfortunately. But anyway, it's all good for improving. The main two things I'm going to talk about and focus on today in the class really is, one thing we probably take for granted is listening. And I remember years ago when I started playing, the technology that's with us today wasn't around, and the only way we were going to get this information was by using your ears. And I used to talk to a few Star Trek fans who used to say if Spock was a musician, he would have been brilliant. He had the big ears, and getting into it. And I think the important. When I started playing, like everyone does, you're doing your thing, and nothing, like, there's no rules to it. I always think, there's so many styles nowadays, I think, which is brilliant. And everyone's got their own stamp. I remember meeting my hero. Collins had me going red there talking about that, and I remember at the same time meeting the great Ringo McDonough years ago and having the same moment with him. I remember when I was listening to him, I got an album. It's funny how things go in Sligo nowadays, and I met him in Galway, but I remember getting a record here in the shop in the record room called Star Spangled Molly, and Ringo was on that, and he was just. I couldn't see what he was doing, but I could hear it, and I was hearing his rolls. And my first drum was quite small, so we actually couldn't double side on it. So I was only playing with one end of the stick for most of my first 3 or 4 years of playing. But so it was only when I got to see him about 4 years later that I realised he was using both sides of the stick and this rolling technique. And I feel a bit sort of don't know, semi-responsible, I suppose, for taking the rolling out of the game a little bit, because I didn't want to be another Ringo McDonald. There was only going to be one, and I thought I'll have to put my own stamp on it if I can. And I just really enjoyed playing the drum. I played drums as well, and I was just going, right, I can get really creative with this little thing. And because I say I was brought up in Manchester, so outside of my very Irish house, there was world music all the time. And I was listening to all these sorts of drummers, and myself and friends like Michael McGoldrick and Desi. Did a Kelly rock band called Toss of Feathers, so we were mixing sort of funk, jazz, everything into Irish music. And I just seen the bar on it immediately as a universal drum and started, I was in Led Zeppelin for 3 years, every Saturday, 9 till 11, that was the gig, and it was all happening. And I was learning loads of stuff by this, and my sister Grace as well, we were into all sorts of music, and then and bluegrass music. And what the lads will know as well, I'm sure a lot of you know that, if you listen to them, like the fiddle player or the mandolin player, chopping, this kind of thing, right? And the same with the bowing. So I locked into this, and it's just going to come back to the power of the hearing thing. I was going, right, what are they doing? I want to sound like that. And this was the thing I started getting into, and I was going, right, and aside from really enjoying, pretty much going bananas on it like the lads do and what have you, this sort of penny dropped for me after it took a while, maybe about 10 years, and I thought, hang on a second. When I started working with Fluke and stuff, I was going, right, I need to be more of a team player here, I need to be adding rather than, I remember one night I was going out and I was playing with Fluke, and I thought, right, I'm gonna go for it in this set of reels, and I'm gonna sort of, give it loads and whatever. And then the penny drops after the 5 minutes, and I thought, I'm in trouble, because all I can do now is repeat myself. And then I thought, right, and I've shown all my tricks, what now? And then I thought, right, let's think what's happening around me, I remember talking, and I had the pleasure of working with the great, late now, unfortunately, Artie McGlynn, and he was saying the same. We were chatting one night, he said, half the battle is just listening, It's usually around you, if you're listening enough, you think, right, what's happening here? If the guitar player's playing the boom, and like I say, I'm a big believer in, like the lads will tell you in Fluke for sure, like the breakdown and stuff, rather than, I say to players, if you're going to try and improve as a player, like if you play every Saturday night in a session, say for instance, for 3 hours, and then you don't take it out again until the following week, little and often, this is the thing, I used to sit in the dressing room and for hours till the band were just screaming at me to stop. I remember my lovely wife Maria went out one morning and I was doing this. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning. She came back about 6. I seen the car coming. All day, Marie. And this is the thing, these little things, when I build it up into a pattern, And again, I'm a real, every time I get new music, I get, as the lads do, get offered to ask to play with various people, and anyone that I've ever worked with will tell you, I always like getting it sent to me. I'm sure that Robbie and Colin are the same, where, I'll say, look, if you can send it to me as soon as you can, and I'll work on it at home, and I'll get listening to what the guitar player's doing, and so then when I go to the studio or I'm recording, thinking, right, this is what's happening. And sometimes, it took me years as well for the penny to drop, as I say, about thinking, the less is more thing. Like we all, and I'm the biggest, culprit, and I'll guilty. I love, going upstairs, doing all my thing, but the fun and enjoyment I've got of working with other drummers, I'm sure the lads have experienced with like kit players, Indian tabla players, working with an amazing gentleman called Zakir Hussain, fantastic. You should, if you haven't listened to him, you should check this gentleman out. He's an amazing Indian tabla player, absolutely amazing. And the way we do our bends this way, for those of you who are not familiar with it, he has a big and a small one. It's like a set of bongos, but believe me, there's a lot more to it, and they play this way then on their bass thing. So it's a very similar thing. I think you'll find it interesting. If you've not been across that kind of side of percussion, it's worth a little check. But I think lots of things it was going to go I wish I had about 5 hours for this class, but unfortunately we don't. But I think that thing, as I say, I keep saying about the tuning in, getting familiar with your drum, like I say, unfortunately, the rolling technique is sadly, I think fading out. A lot of barn players are using these one-ended sticks, including me. But, I think it's nice to see, a lot of people, when I started playing with flute, were saying, you only use one end of the stick. And I was like, well, I actually use two and one, depending, so blending, we'd have a, so you're blending the two. Well, the other little thing to think about as well, right, is, I see barn players coming now, and like I say, this technology that we've got, you can see stuff which I couldn't do. And, every day we sort of, whether it's on a laptop or a phone or whatever, you're programming stuff in. And that's what you're doing, even like I've been playing a long time, right? And it's this, this muscle memory, training this arm to do, as I say, the John Joe Jelly Baby, you want to keep it loose as you can. I see big guys coming in and want to think just tense up the arm and it's that smoothness. I was thinking, right, if I get A, B, and C sounding good, most players go, right, I've got to go down, and then it's really weak. So instead of sounding like it's, and I was saying, look, do these. Everyone who knows me, these ones. Whatever you do every day, do that. Leave the drum in a room that you spend your most time in. So it's just there, as I say, put the kettle on, let it go little and often. This is the, and that's to say, test yourself. I was to say, you see, and I used to do, be looking for the fastest session at the floor or whatever, and I'd be thinking, where, and I have some great memories of being in this town, actually, in the Silver Swan Hotel, which is not here anymore, but, it's good to test yourself for every tempo, I love putting on stuff like Spotify where, you just go, right, whatever comes on, I'm just gonna play on. So, you should be able to be comfortable playing any rhythm, at any tempo. I love, sometimes I always encourage players to do it. If you play steadier, for instance, you're getting more, you want to get these, just like say you just want, when I warm up, I'll just play maybe like that for maybe half an hour, no faster than that, but I'll be playing to lots of different music, but probably nothing will go much faster than that because I'm just not able to do that anymore before midday. But it's like, these little things, the little exercises, think like, as I say, like being the umpire at Wimbledon, getting that nice smoothness of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And he says, right, and I'll say to players, can you do that? And they'll go, yeah. Like I remember Ringo saying to me, he killed me, but I always thank him forever for it. Like he said to me, he listened to me playing one night in Galway, and he was pretty much like thinking, what's this little lunatic from Manchester up to here at all? But he got hold of me and he said, right, come here, you. I want to chat. He said, right, you're really good on the bar, aren't you? He said, but there's one thing I can do that you can't do. And me, all cocky and all that stuff with the chewing gum on board, was going, right, well, show me then. Let me see it. So we went like that. And I was like, give us that power in. And we were playing with wooden sticks back then. There was none of these modern sticks going, but it was all wooden, big dog bones and all that sort of stuff. Some of you may be familiar with it. Good for the muscles. But so I said, right, show me, I can do that for you. So I went. Because I was John Joe and Foolish and 14, was immediately up here. And then he said, look, that's the problem. You can't just do that and nothing else, can you? And I went, no. And he went, and I said it was boring. And he went, well, that's why I get all the phone calls and you don't. Because I play what the player wants me to play. Like a guy said to me one night, he came with a pub in Sligo and he said, come over from Leitrim, man. He said, to see you playing tonight. He said, you're not doing much. Leonard Barry was as happy as Larry. But you can't win, man, that's the thing. And it's like, but the thing that you've got to remember is you're playing, get the fun bit into your playing where you're going, right, who are playing with the guitar player, bouzouki player, or it's fun to have 2 barroom players, 3 barroom players if everyone's listening. I've seen barroom players that, they don't tap the 4. And I'm going, how can you not tap your foot? You know, I remember one night with Colin one night, and I was having a mess about playing on the 2. So instead of playing bomb, I was playing. And he turned around at me and he said, "Someone's playing the 2. Can you believe that?" I said, "It's shocking, isn't it?" And then I got caught out because someone came behind me and started talking to me. And then they got the tap. We've gone over. The game was up. Well, you know, this is the thing. You know, enjoyment is the name of the game. You know, if you're not having fun, you shouldn't be playing music, as far as I'm concerned. It's a really, you know, I say to all my students, you know, whatever kind of a day you've had, this is a really valuable piece of equipment around 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, you know. And, you know, there's lots of little brushes, you know, you get these kind of things now, you're all aware of. All family members will love these. So no excuse for, you know, you can experiment. That's the thing I love about the drum, you know, there's no end to it. You know, when I started playing, there was Kevin Kniff and there was the great Johnny Ringham. Kevin Kniff was fantastic players as well, but it was a different time, you know, a different thing was happening. And I remember playing, as I say, with it, me and Michael McGoldrick and my sister Grace and Desi Donnelly went into a session here in Sligo, and it was a really talented family from Limerick, the Maloney's, Marcus Maloney, his brother Ronan, who plays Bowron, fantastic Bowron player. A lot of you probably won't even heard of Ronan playing, but brilliant Bowron player, absolutely fantastic, and myself himself. A friend of mine was, as I say, Desi Donnelly was aware of a young fiddle player called Declan Follen in Sligo, and then we ended up meeting Jimmy Davey, and that was the real sort of turn of it. And there was a great Damien Quinn who was starting, you know, this technique that I robbed off him. You know, everyone's pinching stuff, you know, this single-ended. I remember Damien Quinn doing that in a pub called the Three Mermaids in the Stole in 1985. I was only about 2, if you believe that, believe anything. But an amazing bowling player, and I sort of improvised with that, and that's the fun thing with it, you know. Like I say, you know, I really enjoy playing with and working with singers, and you know, just doing lovely. You know, sometimes, as I say, the little simple things can be like so effective. Like saying, like in most tunes, like say, like that's what I said to a lot of students. You know, get familiar with the melodies of tunes, like you know, the Fox Hunters and the Sally Gardens and the Books of Rome, all these kind of tunes. And you hear them all over the world, and you know they've got these little, you know, the count of 3, as I call it. You know, this kind of thing. So just doing that instead of playing you straight, you know. And then follow this time the 3, you know, you'd have four. I'm doing this as a trick, right? There was a friend of mine one time, right? We had this game about who could be, you know, timekeeping. So I said, you know, he says to me, he says, "John Drew," he said, "you fancy yourself as a bit of a good timekeeper?" I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, "I think I'm all right." I said, "Sad to know, innit?" I said, "You know, because this is the thing, every time you go out and play music, it's always slightly different, you know? It's just, you've got to keep that in mind, even if you play with the same people every week, it's always slightly different. But if you think your timing's good, you should do a little test on yourselves, right? I was in Glasgow one time with this great, fantastic bass player called Ewan Vernal, and amazing guitar, bass guitar player. And it was really fun things to play with him. You know, I had this experience of playing with, along with bass players, and a lot of hand percussion players in Manchester were falling out with me because I was taking all the bongo players' gigs by playing that, you know, that modern style as it's known now. This and so forth, this kind of style. But we had this little game. He said, right, he said, you know, pick a CD. It was this studio with loads of albums. So we picked this album out. He said, right, he said, pick a track out. So pick this track. He said, it needs to be about 3 to 3.5 minutes long. Fair enough. So he said, right, whenever you're ready, start playing along to the track. And he said, somewhere in about a minute's time into the track, I'm going to start turning the volume down till it's completely off, and you're going to keep playing for about a minute and a half. Sorry, correction. So it was about 5 minutes to track, and about a minute and a half in, got the volume completely off. So I'm still going. And so on, right, for about 2 minutes, and eventually come back in. Back to us in time, right? But we tried it out with a few players over the years, and I remember teaching this young lad one time, and he was too cool for school, let's say, right? But he was a cracking player, and I only encouraged. I was saying, and fellow class said to me one night, he said, he's a bit wild on it, isn't he? And I said, listen, he's on his journey. This is the thing. I played like that when I was his age, and I said, that's the thing. You've got to work it out. I don't want to go around and say to anyone, this is the right and wrong way of playing it. People have often said, how do I know if I'm doing the right or the wrong thing in a session? And I just said, well, have a look at the face of the melody players. It usually tells you most of what you need to know if things are going well or not. And most of them are not afraid to tell you as well, which is, and that said, though, there's a lot of, you don't exactly start blowing up the balloons when we walk with these. It doesn't matter who you are. You've kind of got to prove. I always, the good mate, Loz, who's on here, I hope you're keeping well, Loz. We were chatting about, I was saying, I bedded it into myself from when I started playing when I was about 6, and used to have percussions going around the couch and all that, But, it's all about tuning in and tuning into the music. Like I say, my sister Grace played as well, and we were always listening to music. So when I started going into sessions, I was thinking, oh, that's that tune. And it was the Sally Gardens saying, it'd be like, I went, oh, that's that one that goes. And I was hearing, I was going, right, so I'll do that. That's what it is. And like, you can play around with rhythm so much. And I always think, right, if that's what it's, back to the great Ringo McDonald. So I'm sort of skipping about a bit here, and I can try. I've got a load of things I want to tell you all, and I wish I was there till my classes usually go on forever. In real life, fortunately not anymore. But I remember hearing Ringo again. Back to the legend that is. And he was playing the and it was all bass. And I was thinking, oh, that's brilliant. And I was sort of like getting into this top end style of playing at the time. And I was like, right, so instead of playing that way, I was thinking, right. And it was only when I started playing this rhythm, right, and I remember talking to Junior David about it. This major penny hit the floor, and I went, right, I'm playing rhythms along to a full kit drum player, or even a snare Katie band player. He's got 2 sticks. I've got one. It needs to sound like 2. And that's when I started really working on this. Like that movement, you all do it every day, turning keys indoors. I found a lot of, I've met millions I've been so lucky, I love meeting bottom players. I've met millions of them all over the world. And, I usually find that any of them that do painting and decorating or cooking tend to have a very good upstroke for one reason or another. And I was like, and it turns out I get nice food in the process of teaching in the barroom, which is great. Not good for this though. But the little and often thing, I can't stress it enough. This is it's the key ingredient. And as I say, it's a lot of the time if you put any music on, unless it's on a classical channel, say for instance, most music, it's in 4/4 time. You can do your, there's a fantastic lady here in Sligo. She came to me for classes about, must be 3 years ago now, and very funny. She came in one night and she says, "Hello, John Jones." I said, "Oh, yeah." She says, "Right." She says, "I just want to tell you." She said, "What? I want to learn the power on." I said, "Right, well, that's good. You're in the right place." She said, "But I don't like Irish music." I said, "Oh, bugger." So she said, I said, well, what do you like? She said, well, do you know that young man, Nathan Carter, the country western singer? I said, oh, yeah. I said, no, a friend of mine plays plays fiddle with him. She's like, give over. I said, yeah. She said, well, I want to play to him. So I said, right. I said, oddly enough, I said, if you learn the motor rhythm for a reel, then you can play a lot of Nathan Carter songs, because that, if we had, and so on, right? And he had, it's the same, you get what I'm talking about. So this is the fun thing with it, and it's good to, I say, sometimes I think, don't let yourself get into too of a comfort zone where you're thinking, right, I can just do it to this tempo, stretch yourself. It's good to sort of push out, and as I say, that the crazy times we're in, it's good to, I'm sure you've all improved hugely anyway since I've all seen his last. But anyway, maybe it's time for a chat with the lads. If you want to have a few questions or something, if you're up for a bit of a chat, lads. Happy days. How's it going, fellas?
What's the story? All good. That's great stuff. That's really, really valuable stuff that everybody's learning there at the moment. It's great, man. So we do have a couple of questions here. Where can you get those Bigfoot brush sticks?
To tell you the truth, right, I was. It's a long sort of story. When I was working with Flute one time, we done this recording, and it was a really slow piece of music called Ross Beck, and even the hot rod sticks were too aggressively sounding. Anyway, so the engineer that was doing the album, his lovely wife, had a selection of these, which a lot of ladies do, and for makeup. But I actually got this one in an art shop, for drawing.
Oh yeah.
In an art shop in Glasgow, actually. So that's probably the best place to look for them, in that kind of a shop rather than. But it was kind of hard to find with the full length stick. Most of them are quite short sticks, as the ladies will know. But this one I got from an art.
I think after seeing you with a brush like that, I was on the hunt for one as well, John Joe. I think after meeting you in France at a workshop over there, and you had one, and after playing, I was like, geez, I need one. So I cowardly sent Anya into a makeup shop to buy me one. I think it cost 50 quid or something, but it was worth it.
Nice one. Okay, so next question. Where can we find the music from the advanced videos? Do you remember what you were playing in the advanced video at all, John, that you might be able to tell the students there what to look for?
Crikey, let me think.
The Steph one, was it?
I'll go back to think on that. I had Steph Jeremiah, actually.
Grand.
2 tracks by Steph.
We'll just try to find the links of it. We'll go back and have a look at ourselves, and then we'll find it.
I think you're right. I think it was the Steph stuff. Yeah, it was great.
Brilliant. And then there's another one here. Do you have a rudiment exercise that you'd recommend as part of a practice routine? Some type of rudiment exercise that you might use ever for warm-ups or something?
This is the funny thing, right? I don't, as a lot of people know, I'm a real person, but I love meeting people and talking about violence, but I don't really interact a lot on the social media thing. But I don't know, like, I see this guy thing up one day saying the John Joe Kelly warm-up. Now, it's used to me, like, I don't know anything about it, like, but anyway, he's claiming as a John Joe Kelly warm-up. Now, I know for a fact, like, I watch Robbie and Colin and all the lads. It's a brilliant bunch of people that's working on this course, and again, the lads have done a brilliant job, and everyone's got their own little tricks they do. I see, I do these little rituals, I walk go on the stage and, rub the nose and the scratch of the head, or, whatever it is, and fix the pants again, and, and a lot of people know I've had a lot of trouble with my hand over the years as well, so I'm a bit conscious of these days. And he was there's this oil that I use called Relief, and absolutely, it's like eucalyptus, so the whole front row's kind of like, my God, I'm kind of walking around. So I don't like, to be honest with you, the only my little things that I do, I do little stretches. Maybe as I said when I was talking to the guys there, it's just. Everything I do, I like to take it at a slow tempo. If it's a complicated rhythm, or even if it's something simple, like in the mornings, I'd be thinking, right, if I'm doing a bunch of Skype classes or whatever it's going to be, I'll just think, I love playing just heavy groove stuff just to get, as I was saying, it's all about the arm. Like people say to me, I'm playing the baron with my hands, and I say, well, you're playing it with everything, you should be, you're thinking, you're listening. I always think, ears, feet, hands, listen what's happening, tap the foot, and getting them love these, heavy grooves like we all love getting. We were having a little mess around before we started, boom, boom. Just little things like that, just to get the arms to say, like we program stuff every day and getting this arm loosened, getting, but no, not really, just. I was lazy as every other barrel player.
Just whatever comes to mind at the time. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
I think that's something maybe in the second half as well. I was watching through tips that you were doing to beginners about the strength and the striking. It's always one thing I've always said about your playing. You're like the strength you can get. Everything just sounds so full and strong and groovy. You know what I mean? So maybe in the second half, that's something you could touch on as well. I think there are tips, as I was saying before this, that advanced players, I think they were great exercises you're doing. But there's a couple of more questions before we go to that, John Joe. There was one how has playing other instruments influenced your bodhrán playing? I'm guessing that's towards your banjo.
In terms of rhythm, maybe, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess as I said, I was sort of there. Look, I was sort of brought up as in a really musical house. And Sister Grace plays absolutely every instrument on the strum, and I just, it was always that sort of mockery, it's not a real instrument and all that sort of malarkey. And, I was sort of fortunate and unfortunate was that I went to a place called St. Wilfrid's Cultus, and there was loads of instruments for kids, so I ended up with a mandolin, which was great. I started out on that, and then I went onto a banjo, and I played a bit of mandolin. But I always started playing with the first three fingers. So then I really struggled when I went onto a banjo because I've got really little hands. But I think it makes you, like as I was saying, paying attention to melody. A lot of bodhrán players go, right, I can do the real rhythm, but when they go playing the music, they don't understand it. So I think the benefit that I've got from it is, and I think everyone will really reap the rewards of it. I say a lot of, like there's tunes, as we all know, like the Sally Gardens, the Fox Hunters, all these tunes, the Bucks, they're all over the world. And if you can get familiar with them, that's the big plus for me, because I was going, right, I'll be playing, like we'd say, like as you do with people, like we'd say Fluke, and I'll get familiar with what Brian will do, what he does within himself in music. Little tunes will be different to the way Mike McGoldrick will play, for instance, or the way Grace plays. And then you sort of tune into these players and go, right, he's going to do, like, a lot of the modern tunes that's come out, the syncopated tunes like Mike McGoldrick's, Trips of Hervey's, and you play the first part, the tune. So there's all these different styles, and I kept saying to people, I was thinking, what do I need as a sort of to be a player? I was thinking, I need to be able to go into a situation where I can hopefully be able to go, right, I know how to back this, because this is what's happening. But anyway,
I think you're right, though. It's the phrasing as well, the little subtleties in the phrasing that you pick up with listening to the music, and playing the banjo probably helps an awful lot then as well, having the melodies in the head. Totally. In the phrasing.
I suppose that adds to melody as well. I have a lot of students that come to me as well that I encourage them to learn a bit of melody as well. Just starting out from a whistle for that very reason. Learn a bit of phrasing, and the bodhrán helps the melody helps the bodhrán.
It's like the lilting we were talking about with Siobhan O'Donnell as well, and you were just lilting then as well. It's coming up the whole time, even if you're not you know what I mean. Even if you're not able to play a melody instrument as well, even just trying to lilt the tunes or get them stuck in the head going around. I think, John Joe, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that's the things. I'm sort of people have sort of challenged. This fella challenged me one night. He came up to talk to me about something, and there was a session happening, and I was tapping my foot. And he was going, "Are you listening to me?" And I was going, listening to sort of both, kind of. And this is the thing, if you're the importance of listening, I've said to loads of players, I got this. The biggest buzz I got out of playing the bodhrán for years was doing all the, and all that crack, right? And it's great fun, and we all have a buzz out of it, right? But then, as I say, I got this thing into my head about, even like just before, it was probably like around 1992, 93, and I was starting really listening to, like, brilliant stuff. Like, when I talk about bodhrán players, I love like Christy Moore or, all these Donald Lundy. Like, I don't play like any of them. People say, well, you don't do any of that. But the world doesn't need another John Joe Kelly, that's the thing. It's all about putting your own stamp on it. But if you get an understanding of the music, and as I say, like, get listening to string players and think, right, what we're doing, like I do with Ed, that's that thing. If you watch, hopefully, if you've seen any clips of Fluke, probably digging myself a grave there. But the hands are identical. That's what I'm getting, that's the thing, And it's, the lads know what I'm talking about. If you become a team player, effectively, the bodhrán and the bouzouki, or the bodhrán and the guitar, it's the drums and bass in a traditional music setting. That's what it is. And you want to provide, it's like the lad that goes to the session on Sunday and Liverpool are playing Man City, you know, and he's going watching the match, and I'm going absolutely buzzing off me too, you know.
Delighted that Man City are winning.
You know. You know.
Nice one,
You have
man.
another couple there.
Yeah, we've a couple more questions here, man.
There's loads coming in. Loads.
I have a good one here. Could you show the longest single-ended rolls that you use? That sounds like something Matthew Hurl O'Connor would ask. Could you show the longest single-ended rolls you would use? Probably, I don't know, whatever way that you would interpret that.
Yeah, I'm not sure myself. Over to you, John Joe.
16s, I suppose.
You know, them kind of things. You know, I'm at my age now, right? I'm kind of got a sort of. We're talking about, you know, warming up and stuff. I should have warmed up before this class. So yeah, no, fairness, you know, I don't use that technique tons in my play. Robbie's the man that been doing a few. I can do a few of them, you know.
Well, but like,
I do love.
yeah. Like yourself though, you made a great point earlier. There's a time and place for all that crack. Do you know, you don't need to be doing that all the time. Yeah. I would use a lot of that in my practice, just to keep
hand moving.
And I find that now basically, I find that I'm seasoned up in the last few years. It's probably because I'm not practicing as often. So when I go to play, it takes me longer to warm up. So it's really important to stay loose with those types of things.
But it's exactly like what you're saying, though, John. I think it's, you know, for me, I was definitely one of those players that playing everywhere and doing everything and anything. And then when the band started and you're locking in with a guitar player and, you know what I mean, you're realising, and especially I think when you go to record or something, you're listening to it back. And when you start to listen to it back, you're kind of like, God, it's way too busy. There's too much. It's like, so I sometimes say that's not a bad idea as well, to record yourself playing and listen back to it. And like, do you like the sound of that? Are you getting bored, or is it too busy, or is it too sporadic sounding? And
less is absolutely more.
I think so.
For certain.
There's a lovely question here. Are there any techniques or specific licks that you've been experiment with recently? Maybe anything that came off the Encore album, I think, is where people are probably thinking as well.
What was that?
Sorry, John Joe. Are there any techniques or specific licks that you've been experimenting with recently?
I will have to complain on this. I've noticed.
That's allowed.
It's very funny, actually, right? I'm going to actually play a piece actually in the second half of the show. Actually, I got the pleasure, as I was saying, to work with the great Zakir Hussain, the amazing tabla player. He's absolute. You know, I remember getting the phone call. It was very funny. You know, years ago, I always wanted to play with him, and I listened to him. An Indian taxi driver was playing him one time. I was in a taxi in Manchester. I said, "Who's that playing there?" He said, "Zakir Hussain." I said, "Never heard of him." So I went to tell him about all his records, and he phoned me up. And Desi Donnelly, the friend of mine, a fiddle player, he used to ring me up and say, "Hello, John, this is Zakir Hussain. Do you want to come and play with me in New York?" But he'd be winding me up, you know. Anyway, I eventually got this phone call. I was at Portrait Ring, Sin Player's house, and Zakir Hussain phoned me up. I had this number coming up, private number. Anyway, it was him, and so I said, "Where'd you get my number from?" He said, "It's not important." He said, "Do you want to come and play with me in the town hall?" Anyway, it turned out to be him. So I went to town, saw Siobhan Peoples. I was playing with Zakir Hussain. She never clue who he was, but I was very excited. But it was great to work with him, as I say. And, you know, I'm going to play a piece of music that I've done with him. There's an album called that I've done with him in San Francisco. So I'm going to play along to a piece a little later on. I work with him. So it was good to experiment with him. But as I say, you know, as Robbie was saying, I have fun playing wild sort of worldy rhythms to more, you know, sometimes it works in Irish music. Like I play with Michael Goldrick's big band, or sometimes you say with flute to an extent. You know, we had a great Hammer Dulcimer player guy playing on the album, and you know it's good. And it's good to be able to sort of, like he was saying about seeing the spaces when you work with another percussion player as well. So yeah, it's more something I do outside the box grid, away from trad music really at the minute. But no, I'm not.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Just one more. Just give you the last one. How old was the oldest beginner you ever taught?
How old was the oldest beginner? The oldest, I think, the oldest guy, there was a fella actually that came to me, he was probably about, he wouldn't really tell me the truth, but he was somewhere between 80 and 85 anyway. And he used to come into this pub that we were playing, and he was mad into the barrel. And you know, a lot of pubs, you know, you'd have there's a barrel on the wall, you know. So it was really crap barrel. But so he used to pick it up every now and again. You know, one of my favourite players, Christie, he was playing with big hands, this lad, and he was playing with the knuckles, and he said, "Oh," I said, "What are you got? I want you to teach me how to play with the stick." So I said, "Look," I said, "that's a lovely thing you've going." Anyway, long story short, I ended up giving him a Seamus O'Kane Bauer and a stick, and he was a bit of a ladies' man. So he used to have his little whiskey inside the suit jacket, and have the one it's all night, bit tight with the cash. And they only do all night, just dead nice, as we all know, the rashes and sausage, and the same on the reels, and he was great fun, and he was getting 3 nights out a week out of it. Do you know what I mean? And it was like the lady here up that's the Nathan Carter fan. She plays 3 albums of a Pastor House on a Saturday. She's doing a motor rhythm from 12 till 3. She's a great
rocking the place.
But John Joe, we'll let you jump back into your class there. I had one little question as a change back to yourself as well is I'm sure there's a lot of people wondering how many Borons you own. That's one question I'm always wondering. I think I ask you that every time I meet you because
probably more since.
That's another new one that I haven't seen yet. So.
You know what? It's getting difficult. That's a tricky one to answer that now. I tell you what, I got married 3 years ago in September, and I'll tell you one thing. If another one, this is my latest edition. Actually, this is a Rob Faulkner number. It came in. It only landed there. It was in 2 months. It took 2 months to get it, but I'm really enjoying playing it. I've got a selection of Rob's drums now, like many others. I don't honestly know, but I can tell you one thing. If another one comes in, I reckon the divorce papers will be the next thing. So I say I've got over 200 anyway. So about 2, I don't know. I've been getting them. See, I was really fortunate. I guess when I started playing first, I say my first little drum was like a little saucer. As I say, I was only single-ended. And when I first heard Ringo doing, I was convinced. When I first heard Ringo doing, I was convinced he was just doing, and Mary Blackmore, Maura O'Connell. Yeah. But it's not possible, So this is the thing that's good for everyone nowadays. Like you tapping, come feeling boom. There you are doing you're doing your thing, and it's great because you can visually see it. But the one thing that I do to land, it's great that this course is happening, and it's it's a lifesaver in the current times we're in. But that thing about hearing, I always say to players like look away and get used to, as I say, my triangle, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 12, bass, mid, snap. And every rhythm, as you lads know, that's the thing. It brings it out if you've got them, and it's the slightest of movement, And you, like I say, everyone's got their own little trick on it, and that's what I love. And when I do workshops, so they'll say, right, let's play such a rhythm. And you look away, and it's sounds like like Robbie, you do loads of this stuff. And then when you look down, there's all these slightly different hand movements. You're like, oh, that's really weird the way she... But then we're dead lucky because every time I do a workshop, and if I'm going to be honest here, right, spade a spade, like I've said it to folks, I remember, I learn stuff every time, and we all do every day. I look and put on the tablet, some young players doing something else, and like, whoa, and it's moving really, really fast, but the rules are still the same, like timing's the golden ticket, that's the thing, and have fun with it, but, it's changing really fast, and a lot of people don't like it for its change, and I'm saying, well, everything has to move on. Like traditional Irish music's moved on. A lot of the tunes now, as I was saying, are more syncopated, if you like, in certain areas. And again, that's not everyone's cup of tea. But if everyone does, like you say, I think it's possibly the most exciting time to be playing this drum. There's so many options and it's endless every day. And I think it's brilliant.
Totally agree.
Well, John Joe, look, we'll let you jump back in. It'd be great to hear you to playing some music as well. And there's not too long left there, but. We'll hand you back over anyway, John Joe. Thanks a million for taking the questions.
Yeah. We'll see you soon, guys. Enjoy the rest of the class. Talk to you all later.
Okay. Right. I'm going to do a little demonstration this time of following along to some jigs. And these 3 tunes are by Steph Jeremiah. I've been doing some work with Steph recently. Well, not that recently, but recently till it all went quiet. And again, right, in these tunes, I always was saying about the listening thing, I always think, what sort of, like I was saying, getting people to send, like she sent me these tracks before we recorded, I was thinking like the first tune, but maybe I like dynamics in playing as well, so I was thinking like maybe the first tune might play a little quieter on the first part and then do some following with the bass on the second part. And, I like building as well. Don't give the trick away too quick. It's like playing cards. If you've got the 5, and all this. So it's good. I like to sort of, rhythms to sort of, tie. I like structured playing, if you like. Have a rhythm for the first part and have a different rhythm for the B part, and then when you go back, repeat yourself and so on. You get the gist. Anyway, I'll have a go at these and see what I mean. And on the second tune, and on the third tune, I'm going to do some the second tune, I'm going to do some bass lines following. You'll hear the build thing that I'm talking about. Like the first sounds like the very first hit of the note. And then 2, bum, bum. And then the next time start on 2, bum, bum, and then go to 3. And then 4, you'll hear it build. It's on the A part of the tune, the second tune. So have a listen and see what you think. I'm nervous now. I feel like there's the Bowron world's like in freeze. Anyway, I'll give it a go. Hopefully it'll make sense of what I'm saying. So yeah, a lot of the like I said, the listening's a real beneficial thing. You probably won't be able to get the track too much, but hopefully you can get the gist of it. Start with 2. 3. All the way. Let's start on 2 this time. 3. 4. 5. Change, next tune. What you play. Then double down. Okay, right, so that's the kind of thing I'm on about. Whoa. Giving you Damien okay now and everything. Right, so you get the gist of what was that kind of thing, and I really get great fun out of trying to do stuff like that, like I say, that thing in the second tune about building the hits, and it's a really, simple thing. I was thinking, when I remember doing a few things one time in the studio with you might have a go. I was kind of just messing about really. Might as well play that one. That's just perfect for the. And there was this tune, we went. And it's that thing where you could be doing. I was thinking, right, you can hear that then 3 notes again. And it's not complicated. but it suits what's happening. And that's the really important thing I learned over the years. You know, I was thinking, right, I can do that because I want to do that, but is it the right thing to do right now? Probably not. And that's the thing, and it took me years to sort of knock it out of myself, because I always wanted to be, you know, I love experimenting with it, and, you know, it's a great fun thing to do, but it's like I say, there's a time and a place for everything, and that importance of the time, and as I keep saying, you know, anytime you pick up the drum, I always think, you know, here's what's happening. There's your 1, 2, 3, you know, and this is the thing, you know, to think about as well, you know, every time you play, you know, about breaking it down, whether it's, you know, like, you know, things where you're going from like counting the eights down on the bass and then switching, just would say, a lot of people say, I want to work on this snap, you know, and rather than counting down, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, switch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that thing, you know, it's always good, you know, little tips, you know, to play in front of the window. I don't know if you can probably see my hand through that, but, you know, you're aiming for that pocket, you know, all this stuff anyway, but, you know, playing around the hand, and, you know, the importance, I obviously love moving the hand, you know, to get the, you know, and the runs. But, you know, if you can keep the hand still and get used to play, I always encourage players that starting out to think of the biggest barrel ever. But, you know, you're playing in that area around your hand, and if you can keep that consistency, I always think, you know, like if I was playing bongos or something, where you're getting them 2 notes, boom, back, you know, the same thing. And then when you do the run, you know, the longer you can keep a solid rhythm going, when you do it means that little bit more, you know, it's like something's happening, you know, or something's going to happen, maybe changing into a different tune. Anyway, I'm going to do another demonstration. This time I'm going to play along to a piece of music that I was saying I worked with the great Zakir Hussain, and along with some Scottish musicians and an Indian violin player, an Indian flute player, and himself playing tablas. It was 9 of us, 11 of us all together. Anyway, so this is a track we've done, and I really enjoy playing along, as I was saying earlier. A lot of time, you know, even after I've warmed up and the arms got the 3-in-1 oil's been loaded on, I still enjoy playing. Like, I like working a lot with singers. I've been fortunate enough to work with some lovely and amazing singers, and it's a different discipline as well, because it's all about the good-looking singer up front, and you just got to lay it down. You know, I remember one night I was getting a bit excited, and, you know, I put a few, and she just turned on, I won't say it was, and give me a glare, and I thought, right, she just wants that. And that's it, you know, and sometimes that's been so simple, can be so effective. But yeah, this piece of music I'm going to play along to, yeah, it's kind of a sort of groovy, slowy sort of tempo. But again, you can really polish up, as I say, the A, B, and C. You get your downstrokes and the upstrokes. And just before I do this, just one little routine I want to show you is the smoothness you want to try and get when you go from one rhythm into another. A lot of bowling players think, you know, I've got to do some sort of, you know, every time I'm going to change a rhythm. I like just, you know, pick 2 rhythms that's of a similar family, you know, and then have your A and your B part, as I say. But little movements like this for the arm, where you're concentrating. First time on the 8s, all on the downs, and then switch to the down, up, down, up, down, up. The next time, then you can do it in 4s and sets of 2s, as you please. But here's what you can see what I mean, and the smoothness going from one to the other way you're going. Down, 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 switch. Of training yourself to do rhythms and try and play the music around the tempo I'm going to do now, and getting this movement, you know, as I say about the cooks and the painters and decorators, they seem to have a really good. I can't stress it enough. Whatever you do each day, you know, that thing on the side of the knee, you get used to these in the count. 1, and then the 2, and then the 3, and then double up, and then go 1, and then 2, you know, until it gets boring, and then start again, and then down. And this one, don't be cheating. Elbow on the knee. A 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and so on. Right. Anyway, let's play this piece of music so you get the gist of it. I'm sorry about this. I should have been more. Here we go. There's little pushes in this tune as well. So that's the rhythm you're playing on there. There's a different movement there again, but it's sort of 3 stages if you can hear it. That upstroke, the importance of practicing rhythms at this tempo. It's the elbow going up, don't be lazy. Going on the upstroke, play on the downstroke upstairs. You get the gist, right? Okay, right. So, slightly running out of time, unfortunately, folks. But yeah, it's been a real pleasure to come on and share some time with you. I hope you really enjoyed the course. The guys have been fantastic putting it together, and the 2 fantastic Boreham players and great friends. And yeah, it's been a real pleasure. So thanks to the guys.
Thanks a million, John.
Thanks, John.
We really
yeah, pleasure, guys. Pleasures, and listen, everyone out there, stay safe. It's a good time to be, sharpening up the chops, as we boys say, and that's the most important thing, staying safe at the moment, obviously. But the best of luck to everyone out there with the playing. Everyone's got their own place in the crowd, and the most of the thing, as I say, the first thing in the bucket should be enjoyment, and I love playing as the guys do, and it's been a real pleasure. So.
Thanks to me. And there was just one question that came in that we thought was really good. First of all, by the way, before I get to the question, there's a group of people that are looking to start an over 60s club now after you telling us about that fine gentleman who was playing at 80 to 85 years of age. So
right.
There you go. So there's something cool that's coming out of it. So you've started that club off. And then there was someone wondering, maybe you could list off, you mentioned like the Bucks and the Fox Hunters and those kind of tunes, the Sally Gardens. Is there kind of a couple of names of other tunes, like 10 names or something that you could maybe suggest and people could try look them up on Spotify or put them into a playlist? Like the Sally Gardens, the Made Behind the Bar kind of ones, I'm thinking, isn't it?
In the comments, yeah.
Yeah. Like, to be honest, right, that's what I was saying. I found that, I thought when I was growing up in Manchester, these tunes were only played in Manchester, and they were coming out of Ireland for the summer holiday, and you think, oh, they play it as well. Oh, they play it as well. Everyone's playing that. It's a really popular tune. And it's like you say, there's millions of styles in Barrow World. There's millions of styles of music. So, like, say you pick a tune like the Sally Gardens and you put it in on YouTube, you'll hear some guy playing da 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 da, and then it's not da 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 da. So, everyone's got a different take on it. But there's like the sort of a Bible, I'd say, of about, I don't know, maybe 50 or 100 tunes, like you say, like the Sally Gardens, Fox Hunters, the Mason's Apron, like the Kesh Jig, the Made Behind the Bar, Paddy's Return, these tunes everywhere. The Mountain Road. List goes on. If you start tapping in names like that, the whole list will come up. And if you put in traditional Irish tunes, I mean, that's the beauty of nowadays. You know, you can tap whatever you want in traditional Irish tunes. You know, there's tons of them out there.
The two copper plates as well.
Yeah, the Abbey Reel.
Two
Nice ones,
There's a
yeah.
couple like that, yeah. John Joe, it's been... Sorry, go ahead.
Just not sorry just to cut across you. You'll find as well that I found, you know, every Baron player's got the favourite. You'll start having favourite tunes that you like playing to, and then you'll see these ones that was talking about, the more modern tunes. Like if you look at say Fluke or Michael McGoldrick, you'll hear these sort of syncopated tunes. So that might be worth something looking at if you haven't played into the syncopated world. But again, like the creative side's the big thing. You know, let it go and just put your own stamp on it. But the tunes, getting familiar with tunes is a big thing.
What was the name of that last piece? Because I can imagine now plenty of people are going to look to put that on and to try emulate exactly what you just did because it was so groovy. So.
The album's called Next in Kin.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
live from the jazz.
Lovely album.
We done it. What happened was I was doing it. We toured around America for a month, and the last 2 nights were in the Jazz Center in San Francisco, and he was the artist in residence for the year that we were doing. This was 2014, and so we decided that we'd sharpen up on the tour, and then we'd gamble on recording it. So we recorded it over 2 nights. So we had 2 versions of everything, and we done a couple in soundcheck as well. But that was the one from the very last gig on the second night, and we all decided that was the one to go for. So the album's called Next in Kin, and that's the track as well. So I'm not plugging the album. You're not on the record.
No, it's great.
Not at all.
People want to know what that's all about. You know, they
Yeah.
want to know what it is. So.
And the same, I know you're doing Skype lessons, everything, John Joe, as well. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a queue out the door for you. But look, thanks a million, John Joe, for being part of our Bula Buzz online
man.
course. And it's been amazing to have you, and so insightful as always, and so much knowledge.
Yeah.
That
It's a pleasure. It's a real honour for us to have him in.
and I think, as John Joe said at the start, we'd love to have you for 5 hours, 6
Yeah.
hours, because you could sit back and listen to all the knowledge as well and soak it all in and the playing, and even just listening to you groove and warming up before the stream was class. I was enjoying that and bopping away. But look, we're going to move over in the next half hour to our second live concert of the week with the amazing Caddy Jordan, who's a fantastic singer, and I'm sure everyone knows her from the band Dorva. She's amazing and iconic, and a fantastic bar player as well, and some great recordings with the Unwanted as well, the trio. So we've been test running the Wi-Fi.
We checked.
And everything was good earlier as well. So just like Ronan's, it was good. So fingers crossed, it
Fingers
stays
crossed
good.
it stays. Yeah.
Unfortunately,
so all
but
good.
Crossed,
We're looking forward to that. Yeah. John Joe, thanks again for everything, man. We really, really appreciate you taking your time out and doing that.
Pleasure. Best of luck,
Cheers,
everybody.
guys.
Thanks a
I'll
million,
see you
man.
back here in about 15 minutes for Caddy Jordan. Thanks a million, guys.
See you
Cheers,
guys.
John Joe.
Thanks,
See you
John Joe.
again.
Cheers, man.
Thanks.